Hey, I'm Ken. I'm an OEV dealer here in Frederick, Colorado. We're at Overland Expo, and we're talking with Arnold today about the campers and the OEV campers and how they're built, and built to conquer and built to last. So let's get into it. Arnold, tell us a little bit how this came about that you guys started making these campers.
Oh, it's a pretty short story, actually. My business partner, Mark Simbalek, myself, between the two of us, we've owned pretty much everything except for vans. Neither one of us has ever had a van, even though we were, a time, we did a stint as a master outfitter for Mercedes.
Yeah.
And we actually built Sprinters and even Metris vans. But anyways, I digress. It started with Mark because he built a couple of campers. He built a service body for a slide-in Bigfoot camper years ago, long time ago. And then after that, he built himself a motorhome, like aluminum frame, spray foam, all this stuff. And it took him probably 2 years to finish, something like that. And the whole time I'm just watching, like, you're crazy to build this. But in any case, so it evolved. The company that Light Industries used to be was a company. It was an oil field service company. Built different types of things for the oil and gas industry, mining industry, and things like that. And the opportunity came up to build a service body out of composite panels. So we made some extrusions, designed the dies, made the extrusions, had the panels made for us, and we put this thing together. And that's why I noticed, I'm like, dang, this kind of does look like an RV, right? And Mark was like fully involved and very much interested in building an RV. So that was the next step. We built our very first camper, and that camper to this day is being used by a gal out of I think she's in Utah these days, and she's driving the very first unit that we built by hand.
So still on the road, no issues, and
still on the road. Yep. Yeah. She's been full time in that for 6 years now, something like that. So it just kind of evolved, and then fast forward, in Canada, the oil and gas industry went into the crapper, and it still hasn't actually recovered, and that's 10 years ago now. So we just went full pour fuel on it, and let's just build recreational vehicles.
Yeah.
So what started as a transitional type of business that we were going to do ended up being a completely underfunded startup, because any cash that we had when the oil and gas industry turned off the light switch, any cash we had accumulated in our bank, we just burnt through that like crazy.
Yeah.
So that brings us to where we are now.
All right.
So now we got what? How many models have we got? 4?
Well, there's 4 categories and multiple versions within those categories.
Yeah, that's true.
And so what experience, I know you guys did a ton of testing for strength, and how did that translate over to the campers?
To what we got now?
Yeah.
Because we're on different generations of our panels, our extrusions and things like that.
And your panels are proprietary, so there's no other camper that's using those.
No, you can't buy it off the shelf. That goes back to before we built the very first commercial product, right?
Yeah.
We did testing for close to 8 months just on adhesives, trying to figure out what works best, like plural components and you name it. Doing all sorts of testing and doing pull tests to actual destruction to test these adhesives. And it's mind-blowing what adhesives can do. It's completely mind-blowing. Used very much in the auto industry, aircraft industry. Like, if people knew how much glue is actually in some of these airplanes they're flying around in, that might actually make them kind of nervous. But I'm not nervous anymore because I understand what these things are capable of. But even our panels, we are on our Gen 4 panel now. It's a complete wet layup.
Yeah.
It's very much different than what we started off with. We started off with just a honeycomb 1.5-inch panel, FRP skins on both sides. And now we're in 1.5-inch panel. It's a complete wet layup, and it's It's cured under vacuum on a vacuum table, but it's gel coat on both sides, and then it's honeycomb polypropylene on both sides, and then the center core is foam. It's 1.25 inch thick.
Yeah.
And that's PET foam. That's made out of recyclable water bottles.
Yeah.
We have those made right here in the USA.
Yeah.
So.
And everyone can see a video online where you took one of your panels with the ram on top of it and tested that, and with no failure with a heavy duty ram sitting on top of a panel.
Yeah, and that box that is just that box is put together. There's no adhesives.
Yeah.
For that box, it's just dry fit together.
Yeah.
Right, like a jigsaw.
Yeah.
Jigsaw puzzle, like Lego. And we've done other tests, and we shared that there on our YouTube channel, where we take a wall panel and we make a T out of it. So we're just dealing with the bonded surface of the foam to the surface of the wall, and then we'd actually put that T between two forks on a forklift, right? And then have there's a lug, and we actually lifted up a motorcycle, and the motorbike was full of fuel. I think it was around 250 pounds, something like that. So just the bonded surface of the foam making contact, 12 square inches, and I lifted up the motorcycle, right? So it's important to do your testing and know what your product can do, right?
Yeah.
Because not all composite panels are made equal, right? There's stuff that is brought in from China, from all over the place, and they're constructed differently. And I always tell folks, like, if you can get a sample, just take your finger and just the weight of your finger and draw it across the foam. Make sure the foam's clean first, but draw it across the foam. And if you lift your finger and there's a residue on the pad of your finger, that's the first cellular couple of layers of the foam breaking down. That's just with the weight of your finger, not pushing down.
Yeah.
So you can't rely on that for a bonding surface. If you actually try to, what'll end up happening is when you break that bond, that glue just feels like peach fuzz, right? So you can't use it. Whereas ours, if you do the same thing, you're not going to find any residue. In fact, you can push down on it, and you're not going to find any residue.
Yeah.
And it's not just because it's made out of recycled water bottles. It's a specific density that we use and a bunch of other things. But when you actually break that bond, you'll actually V-notch the panel. It'll remove 3/4 to 1 inch in a V-notch pattern of foam.
Yeah.
Pretty strong. And it takes like this thing here, for example, this extrusion going up here, this is 3 inch by 3 inch, but the way that we put everything together, we can reliably bond 9 square inches of surface area. So for every inch that you move, it takes about 4,200 pounds of force to break that bond. So that's every inch, 4,200 pounds.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot.
And I don't know of any other manufacturer that's going through that process too. And they may be, but they're not putting it on the line like you guys and hanging. You guys did a test where you hung 1,700 pounds off the end of one of these?
2,000 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with the failure, didn't it happen until after that, or started seeing something happen?
No, we didn't see any.
Didn't see anything?
Any deflection
Yeah.
at all. But I'm not sure which test you're talking about. I'm talking about a concrete block.
Yeah, but there's the one where you hung over the edge of the hangar.
So the over cab bed. Yeah, so you basically got your fulcrum here. Vertical wall meets the bed, and you'll see some campers are designed, and they'll have a gusset there.
Yeah.
So if I'm walking around, and I see something like that, and they got a gusset, then I'm like, okay, A, they have not done their testing, or perhaps they have not done their testing, or B, they have, and they recognize that it's a weak point.
Yeah.
Right. The testing that we did, Mark set up a test on a bench, and he applied 1,000 pounds of force on the very end going down, right? And that's before, like you can see this corner cap extrusion goes all the way and joins up with that top of wall extrusion. For the test, we didn't do that. We didn't have that tie-in point there. And it was actually worst case scenarios, like no sanding, no cleaning, just glue it together, let it cure, and then try it out. And we start, as he's applying the 1,000 pounds, you start to see some deflection here, right at that fulcrum. But I mean, at 1,000 pounds, that's when I lost interest, because at 1,000 pounds, I mean, who's going to put 1,000 pounds
Yeah.
on the very end, right? Nobody's going to do that.
Yeah.
Anyways, and that was with our Gen 3 panels. So that was a different foam, still a good foam, but not nearly as good as our Gen 4.
Yeah.
So we should actually redo that test and see what it would yield at.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one thing that separates OEV from everyone else, is just where you guys go in and your obsession with making it the strongest product. Mm-hmm. Of course, they're outfitted with all the stuff that everyone wants, top of the line stuff, but the strength, especially we're at Overland Expo right now, and our customers are going off-road. They're traveling off-road, and they're beating the hell out of these things, and they come back and they look just like they do now.
It's just, it's beat, wash, repeat.
Yeah.
Beat, wash, repeat, and it's repeated reliability.
Yeah.
That's what we're after.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that's the strongest message we can give, is just the strength of.
It's not just the panels. It's not just the extrusions. It's not just the adhesives. It's not all that. It's not just that. It doesn't stop there. It's also the furniture inside, right? You got all this aluminum furniture, and you can take the galley, for example. It has 3 different thicknesses of aluminum, because each part of that galley serves a different function, right? So that entire thing's it's all about geometry. So as these things go together, you're just putting pieces together, and it just becomes stronger and stronger and stronger as it goes together. And it's all bonded in. We don't use metal fasteners. People argue, oh, you do. Yes, when we got metal to metal, we actually use some metal fasteners. But this is also bonded with adhesives behind. It's probably over-engineered. You likely don't even need these rivets.
Yeah.
But Mark tends to over-engineer everything, so, which is not a bad thing, right? It's you'll appreciate it when you're sitting there 5 years later, and you wash it up, and it looks like the same day that you took it out.
Yeah. Right? I just got one in. That was a 2021 Campex, now called Backcountry, and once we washed it, it looked just like these coming off the.
That's good.
Floor.
I mean, it doesn't mean you don't have to do your maintenance and all that other stuff. But I mean, but we can talk about soft walls. I mean, the R&D that we put into soft walls, like we're into a 4-layer system now, but these things are incredibly insulated. Like, not just the composite panel itself, but even the soft walls. A triple pane window in your house is an R3. This is very close to an R4, and possibly even better. Yeah.
Well, awesome. I think that's where obviously the name that we use when we tell customers, built to conquer, built to last, is truly what we live when we're telling people about this, and we believe in it, and test it all the time.
I mean, it's stuff that you don't know until you actually see it and touch it and feel it. And then if you get the opportunity to talk to somebody that does own one, it's taken it out and beat it up, washed it, gone out and done that again. You talk to these owners and they'll tell you. Proof's in the pudding. But I don't know. This show, we're at Expo Mountain West 2024. I mean, Mark wanted to take a 2x4 and smash it on one of the corners. Smash! So
we can still
maybe
do
we'll do that. We'll do that test sometime. I don't know. But I think we have to do it in front of a live audience, because some of the tests that we do, we've had other manufacturers reach out and go, oh, that's not real. We've invited them right to our facility and said, come see it. We'll repeat the test. Nobody takes us up on it.
Well, awesome. Thanks for running us through everything. And if you guys are looking for the strongest camper in the market, we always say we may not be the cheapest, but we're the best. And if you're looking for something that's just going to last forever, this is it.
Built to conquer, built to last.
All right. Absolutely. Check out overlandex.com for more information. Thanks, guys.